Welcome to Fresh Talks. My name is Raquel. I'm a tax lawyer here at Fresh Portugal, and here with me is my dear colleague Henrique Faria, also from our tax team. And today we will be talking a little bit about why right now is the perfect timing to start planning your taxes for the future after this busy tax season has finally ended. Now that the tax season has ended, there are a lot of clients that are coming to us and asking how they can take advantage of the tax benefits in Portugal. Because obviously, a lot of people came to Portugal in 2024 with the end of the NHR, and they didn't really have the time to properly analyze their sources of income, to think about how they will plan their structures in Portugal, considering all the income that they have coming from outside of Portugal. And I think now is a good time to address these points, right, Enrique?
Perfect, Raquel. Very good point. Just an example. Today I had a tax meeting. A client's considering to move to Portugal next year, and he asked me, what's the best time to do a tax plan meeting, a tax consultation, maybe just next year? For look, the sooner you do your tax planning, your tax meetings better, because sometimes you can reclassify certain income nature to have a best tax treatment here in Portugal. So as you said, we just finished our tax season. Some of the clients during 2024 was their first taxable year in Portugal. They just arrived. They hurry things because they wanted to enjoy the end of the last version of the HR. So they had no options otherwise just to report the correct, of course, nature of their income. Now it's a good time for them to try to reallocate and try to, for example, set up a business, a US LLC, changing a formal employment position to a self-employment position to optimize the income streams that they could report next year, right?
Right. And even addressing back to LLC specifically, which is something that most of our clients coming from the US either have or will have at some point. Actually, I've had a few not so funny cases, I bet you had as well, of clients coming to us last minute to get their tax returns prepared by us, and they are faced with a few surprises regarding how their LLC income is treated, right? Usually they come with single member LLCs, they come maybe with even an S Corp receiving salary, and they quickly understand that maybe this is not the best structure, right?
Correct. And as Portugal is a self-reporting country, it's important for you to understand that you must follow the correct tax authority understanding of what the tax authority understands what is a US LLC as transparent or opaque entity. So you must change your LLC structure to be as close as possible to the tax authority binding decisions. So that's the time, okay? That's the time to do it. And you can, again, get the most of your NHR if you have, or you can enjoy a best tax rate here in Portugal. So that's why it's important for you to understand and reclassify your income streams.
Exactly. And for those clients arriving in 2025, it's also important to know that the NHR is gone. So there's nothing to be done about that. But obviously, we have the NHR 2.0, IFICI, TISRI, whatever name you want to call it. And it's pretty good. It's even better. For our US clients, obviously, they already had the exemptions on capital gains. But for all other nationalities, they didn't. So even under NHR 1.0, you had to pay capital gains tax in Portugal if you were not an American. With the new tax regime, this is no longer the case, right? So someone, I don't know, selling their business from the UK, for example, they can enjoy a full exemption on capital gains in Portugal, which is pretty major.
Correct. And we do have a lot of clients asking us about what is this IFICI, this NHR 2.0. We explain, and they are in the process to obtain their visa applications, visa permits here in Portugal. They just got their VFS approval. They are moving to Portugal during this second semester, but most of them just have their IMA appointment next year. So Raquel, I want to ask you, what is the best timeline for them to become a Portuguese tax resident? For example, this scenario, the client already has the temporary visa approved, stamped on their passport with the full time appointment, let's say April 2026, but they are moving to Portugal in this September 2025.
So what the law says is that you start your tax residency on the first night that you spend in Portugal. This is what the law says word by word. However, obviously what the law says and then the reality that the tax authorities apply can sometimes be different. And if you're new to Portugal, welcome to Portugal. This is how things work here. And you have to make sure to understand how IMA and the tax authorities talk or don't talk, I guess. And you have to understand that as from the day that you have a valid visa and you can come and live in Portugal and you choose to do so, you are already at risk of being considered a tax resident. You don't need to, and we've heard this several times, you don't need to wait 6 months and then you become a tax resident. So you become a tax resident by spending 6 or more months in Portugal, yes, but you are a tax resident as from the first night that you spend in Portugal with a valid visa and most likely with an IMA appointment scheduled for next year. So it's very important to understand that specifically for the tax regime for EFICI, you need to comply with the requirements this year if you have your visa this year. Unless you want to wait and you're not coming straight away for some reason, then perhaps this can be questioned, but you have to make sure to understand that if you, for some reason, become a tax resident this year and you only comply with the requirements to have the special tax regime on January 1st next year, then you can no longer access the tax regime for the full 10 years. So you lose major benefits.
Correct. I agree 100%, and that's why we tell our clients to be 100% conservative. And if you are moving to Portugal this year, and the HR 2.0, the EFICI is very important during your 10 years lifetime here in Portugal. Please meet the criteria to apply to the EFICI this year, during the same year that you are or could be deemed Portuguese tax resident. And if you are audited by the tax authority and you are here with a valid temporary visa, for sure you're going to be deemed Portuguese tax resident. Don't miss the opportunity. Deem yourself Portuguese tax resident this year and meet the criteria to apply for the EFICI/NHR 2.0, even though the formal application can be done until 15th of January 2026. But please meet the criteria this year and apply as soon as possible, right?
Yes, exactly. And it's also important to note that Portugal has a very aggressive tax system. So the general tax rates, and I mean, we both know you don't because you have an HR, but I'm Portuguese. I've lived here all my life, so I do know what it is like to pay progressive taxation, and it's not great, I'll tell you that. So make sure that you apply for the regime because you can get amazing benefits. You can get a full exemption on most foreign sourced income. Obviously, it's been talked about, pensions are the biggest loser when it comes to this new tax regime. There is no benefit to pension whatsoever, but everything else, capital gains, dividends, interest, self-employment income, employment income, all of it is fully exempt provided it's from outside of Portugal, which, I mean, it makes a huge difference when we're talking about people who make thousands and thousands of euros or dollars or whatever the currency is every year.
Yeah, sure. And remember, it's during 10 years. And for sure, this new EFICI NHR 2.0 is not 100% easy application, straightforward as was the last version of the NHR that you just need to check a box and you next business day you had the tax regime approved. This one, it's a little bit more complicated because you must meet one of the criteria. When our clients, they Google, ChatGPT, read the criteria, they become very afraid because, oh, I will never meet the criteria. But everybody can meet the criteria, okay? We have a very special one criteria, very related to the Portuguese startup community. The government wants to attract talent and investment to Portugal. So we have this special criteria related to Portuguese startups, okay? So most of our clients, they have amazing marketing background, sales background, IT background. So if you meet the correct startup, become, for example, a board member, an employee, even though you are very tired and don't want to work anymore in Portugal, but for sure you can help the community here in Portugal. You can provide and exchange your knowledge with these startups, and you can enjoy 10 years, as Raquel said, full exemption on your foreign earned income. Of course, if you just have pension income, this new NHR, it's not good anymore. But if you have capital gains, passive income, and again, remember what we said about LLC. If you are watching this and it's not part of the topic of LLC, try to chase our LLC talks. You can structure your income with a US LLC or a Maltese company, UK company, correctly as the Portuguese tax authorities wants to see it, and report passive income distribution, dividends, and you can enjoy together with the new NHR full exemption here in Portugal.
Exactly.